Good morning, good morning, good morning. I tell you what, belonging in business has gone rogue. It's gone rogue and it's here already. It's 7 o'clock and it's Saturday, the 11th of May, and you are in belonging in business. But actually, you're in MJ's house and you're in belonging in business. And I'm MJ, and that's Stu, and it's Naomi. Who'd believe it that we're here in the middle almost of May, and I'm talking about bliss. But I'm talking about bliss because Naomi's here, without a doubt. It's definitely because an angel just arrived in the room. Look, good morning. I'm Mandy-Jayne, and well, what am I? Well, I'm a person. I'm going to talk about being a person, and I'm going to talk about a few things that have been happening in my life, well, over the last week. I don't really want to talk about anything other than the last week on account of the fact that, well, it's just been a bit of a wild ride. Listen, I am a trainer, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, I'm a therapist, I'm a trainee social worker. I'm almost at the end of my diploma. Like, I will be an official diploma holder any moment. It's not that exciting, to be honest, because whether you're whatever you are, there's one thing that we're all seeking in my humble. There's loads of things that we're seeking, but the one that I've identified that I'm seeking from all of them, and there's loads of them, like there's about 7 areas to get you to something that they refer to as, well, quantum consciousness. One of them is bliss. And I've been writing about bliss. I've been thinking about bliss. I've been wondering how bliss connects to connection, and belonging, and business, and me, and workfulness, and then my amazing community. How does bliss connect to it all? Well, when I was doodling, and I do doodling a lot, I would suggest if you don't doodle, start doodling. I've got a really good friend called Patty Dobworowski, and she's just a superstar. Her entire family is actually. And she has a TED talk called Drawing Your Fantastic Future. And I drew mine. I've imagined my fantastic future and I've lived my future that I imagined. But when I drew it, well, magic happened. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Not just magic, not just belonging, not just bliss, but also how we make bliss happen. That's quite important, isn't it? Because bliss is something that we aspire to. I don't want to aspire, I want to inspire, but I want to acquire as well. I tell you what I sound like. I sound like Morris the connector then. Maybe he is the connection. So when I was looking at bliss this morning, and I wasn't just looking at bliss, I was studying bliss, and I was studying bliss inside a really great teacher. Everybody knows him. I can't remember his name now. But he's taken himself from being almost bankrupt to having 10 million pounds or 100 million pound business. I can't remember. Anyway, it's one of these great guru-y type people. So I was studying bliss. You'd think, wouldn't you, with all the qualifications that I've just talked about, that I wouldn't be studying now. Well, I am. I'm not just at university. I'm not just studying in formal education. I'm studying outside of education, and I study when I wake up. I spend an hour managing my own needs. I meditate. I drink water. I take my reishi coffee. I also have something called stress drops now, which actually is just methylated vitamin B12 and a few other bits. A handful of supplements that I take, and a load of other things that help me get into, well, what I'm going to say, Anna, that state of bliss. And I haven't realised that that's what I've been chasing. Oh, it's not really chasing, actually. It's more moving slightly towards. But when I was studying bliss this morning, and I had to, because I had to look at, well, I'm going to take you back, actually, to where I started. Because I had to think about how I got to that state of bliss. And I'm not saying I'm there yet. I'm just saying that sometimes I manage bliss. I manage it. and manage bliss. We're going to go back over this, James, so don't panic. And I'm sorry about the time, and I'm sorry about the change, but we've had a shift, a quantum shift actually. But we'll talk about that in a bit. We're talking about bliss. Good morning. We're talking about bliss, and I'm saying that belonging in business, which is early, it's also going to be on time because I'm going to put this out at 8 o'clock for all those that weren't going to be here. It's also going to be late because I'm going to put it out at 9 o'clock and I'm going to schedule it in StreamYard because this is a really important message. I can't tell you how important it is. It's so important I've drawn it. And it's not mine. Well, it is because it came through me. But this morning I had to study how I got to where I want to go through merging. Through magic merging. Apparently only 1% of us manage magic merging. Magic merging is bliss for me. I called it magic merging. It's not really called that. I just made it up. But I begin. How do I begin? How do I get to magic merging? Yeah, how do I get that? I'm sure somebody will come up with a much better way. Alchemy. I don't know. Bliss. That thing that's beyond what we think and feel and see. That thing that puts it all together. That sense of knowing, that getting there when all your ducks are in a row, when everything's aligned, when synchronicities come through, when the right people turn up in the right way at the right time for the right thing. How do we get into those 4 stages? Because it is, right? It's a 4 stages that I didn't know. I'm flapping. I'm so excited. I didn't know it was like this, but I've been learning. So, as I say, I'm a teacher, a coach, a therapist, a social. I'm a person, right? Wherever the hell I've been. I'm a Reiki master too. I did 3 levels of that, ending up at Stonehenge with an American. Well, you know what I mean. It was a long haul. I don't make it sound as easy as it was. I didn't just go, oh, I'm a Reiki master, 1, 2, 3, boom. It's not how it happened. It's really not how it happened. So I'm still studying, even though I've been studying lots. And this morning I had to think about bliss. And there's a reason, because I went through the stages of how I'd got to where I was. Look, 3 years ago, I think it's 3 years ago, time's a bit difficult. I posted a picture this morning on my timeline from 2015, which was when we were graduating from our psychotherapy. There's a picture of me sitting with Pip holding his arm. Pip was in a wheelchair too, and some of our gang. And believe me, there weren't many of us left, and there was about 30 of us at the beginning. 6 years long or something fucking crazy. I can't remember. And we're there. So I posted that photo, but I also, with that photo which popped up on my phone, and I'm talking about not popped up on a feed, not popped up on an algorithm. No. It literally just happened to be at the top of my phone. I don't know how that works in my life, but it did. It was saved. It must have come from somewhere. Somebody must have posted it somewhere like off Facebook and then it downloads or something. Because somebody had posted it somewhere and there we all were at the top of my feed. Now those are the things I'm going to talk about in a minute, and they are things that I do not ignore when I can think about not ignoring them. When I am, awake. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. When I'm awake, well, obviously I'm awake now because it's day. I don't mean that kind of awake. I don't mean just awake. I don't mean be awake. I mean that happens between the time of 4 a.m. and 9 p.m. right? That's when awake happens. But this is a different kind of awake. So this morning I'm thinking about what do I want to explain to myself today, because that's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm explaining it to myself, and by explaining it to myself, some people in some way at some point might hear something of what I'm saying, and believe me, some people will say, I don't know what you're on about. I was in a meeting the other day with all of the staff where I'm working in the daytime on my placement, and one individual didn't know what I was saying, didn't understand me, and I changed my tag. I changed the way that I said it. I altered my perspective. I shifted my way of communicating. Why? Well, because the only point in communicating is to communicate, right? With myself, but also alongside other people. So this morning I was thinking about how do I deliver who and what and how I am and what I'm trying to say in a way that the most people, in the most way, might be able to hear and understand what I'm trying to say. Because what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, and here I am being Morris the Connector again, I am powerful beyond my wildest dreams. They were the words that came out when I thought about bliss. I am inclusion. I am connection. I don't want to be angry. I want to contribute all I am gifted. I need to share my energy. Others need my energy. We need each other's energy. Bliss is being powerful beyond my wildest dreams. But come on, how did you get there? It's all right saying, oh, look at her, she's in bliss, whatever the hell that is. But if we don't know how I got there, what's the point of me being here? Or even talking about how I go. I need to tell you, right? You get these books, don't you? They're like, and in the next chapter, we go, well, why don't you tell me now? Yeah? Well, maybe not the next chapter. Buy this free chapter and then you can have the rest. What are you on about? No, I'm going to have this free chapter and then you've got to buy the rest. In my opinion, that's the wrong way up. It's the wrong way up. Not shouting. Stop shouting, MJ. Don't be shouting. Listen, the first step to chunk my day up. I had to chunking and splitting, chunking and splitting, chunking and splitting. Some people call it separating, other people call it getting organised. But at the beginning of it, it's chunking and splitting. I just think about my day. What's my day involved? Well, I get up and I do my business, don't I? I meditate, I swim, I drink water, I exercise, whatever I'm doing. I stretch. At the moment, I'm doing somatic stretching and yoga because I need to eradicate all of the challenging ways that my emotions have landed into my cells. So that's why somatic, which is felt sense, it's moving it through my cells. I've done lots of cardiovascular, I've done the running, I've done doing the cycling. I'm getting out on the bike at the end of this month when I finish playing so I can get on the bike. I'm so excited. But I'm not biking at the moment. But you can tell that I'm excited, right? I was already biking in that moment. The end of this month. Well, actually, the second week in June, so it's not the end of this month. It's a month from now. I'm going to be out on the bike. But at the moment, I'm chunking and splitting, chunking and splitting. Do you chunk and split? Do you? And what do you do with those non-negotiables? When I'm talking about non-negotiables, I'm talking about, you've got to get up and have a poo. I mean, that's a non-negotiable, right? Maybe I'm not talking just about those kind of non-negotiables because, well, what are you going to do if you don't? Me and you talked about it yesterday. We have to spend all day doing it if you haven't done it, right? I had a client the other day that literally said, Anyway, so that's a non-negotiable because, imagine what happens if you don't poo. Don't imagine what happens if you don't poo, please, because you will literally explode. That's not true, but you'd be very poorly. Please don't imagine. So do you chunk? Do you split? Do you accredit time? I'm using the word accredit because I think a credit has energy. It holds an essence. It holds an energy. It holds an achievement level. It holds are you accredited with that? Aspiration's a little bit like Henry Fairy, isn't it? Like, jeez. Sorry, I aspire to be. Yes, I do, but it's so far away from me. I'm not going to be able to do it. Do you accredit yourself with the time that you have? How much time do you give to yourself? They reckon, now I've got a coach called Pete Cohen and he goes on and on and on about this 15 minutes, 14 minutes, 1% of your day or some such malarkey. What he's actually done, I believe, he's honed down what we know, which is 30 minutes. All right, it's why we do 25-minute bite-sized work practices. It's why they set you off in 5-minute batches for concentration because you can do 5 5s. It's all about chunking and splitting. The training is in the training. I just don't understand why people don't talk about what's in the training. So my job when I learn something, psychotherapy, social work, education, special educational needs, neurolinguistic programming, Reiki, personal development, energy movement, any of that, is to unpick it, unpack it, take it down to its component parts and show it. I literally am an autistic child finding a new shiny object and taking it apart and laying it out on the carpet and going, okay, there you are, did it. My other half of my life is learning to put it all back together again. So forgive me as I have to take it all apart and put it all back together again. So what do? We chunk and we split. I talk about my morning well-being. I go to my work. My workfulness is important. I've already thought about, visualized, looked at and alchemized the sessions with my clients. That's imagining it's wonderful, imagining the success, knowing that they will enjoy our time, seeing what we will accredit to ourselves at the end of that session and what alchemy will have created, and also what things we will have done. Don't forget the doing. Now, whether you are doing this chunking, ideaing once in the morning, which I do it in a sustained way because I am practiced. But when you first start, do it for 5 minutes, 3 times a day. What am I doing this morning? Da-da. What am I doing this dinner? Da-da. What am I doing this tea time? Da-da. Like, that's why we have meals. It's so we have points in the day that we're meant to sit and reflect, stop and eat and drink. And in that time, think about what's next. Think about what's next. Why? Because it isn't just the doing. Don't forget the doing. But it's also the imagineering before the doing. Because our pre-contemplative action, what we think about doing, is what we're already creating, because the reality doesn't exist and time is irrelevant, even though we've got to manage it. So when we imagineer, it's limitless. Now, where you look when you're imagineering, by the way, there's a certain place people think it's just, oh, there we are, she's thinking. No, that's not true. There's a certain place in your brain you've got to be thinking, and there's a way of getting there. The first thing that you do is you sit back a bit in your brain, not your body. You sit back a bit. Imagine sitting back a bit in your brain. Imagine sitting on your tailbone in your brain. Imagine sitting on the top of your spine in your brain. Imagine sitting just up on a shelf, just at the back here. Just if you tap on the top of your head and you feel your fontanelle, I'm doing it now. It's a really good thing to emotionally tap there. It's where you've got a gap. It's where you've got a seam. I've got a bigger seam. I've got a bigger gap. I told you there was a crack in the universe. It's called my head. So there, sit back there. And if you can imagine in your mind that you're sitting back there, I like to sit in a chair. If you think about, there was a film where there was a boy in a robot and he sat, I think if you think about a man running a robot, right? So sit back there where you'd put yourself if you were managing a massive robot and you're about to go and destroy an entire country, which you're not going to do, right? You're going to create one. Well, you're going to destroy it. Well, you've got to first, otherwise you can't make a new one. But yeah, sit back. Just sit back. Sit back and sit up a bit, all right? Sit back and sit up a bit. Sound like your mother. Sit back and sit up a bit. Come on. Sit back and sit up a bit. Because when you do that, you align your doodly pips, you know, your chakras, your upsy downy bit, the bit from the top, right down to your solar plexus in your tummy, and right underneath your bum in your tail, yeah? So sit back and sit up a bit. When you sit back and sit up a bit, and then you look forward in your mind's eye, and by that I don't mean look at your eyes, I mean just imagine a kind of thought bubble at the front of your face, 6 foot-ish, just if you lay a man in front of you, which is all the way they should be. I mean, I'm joking. That was a terrible joke, Mandy-Jayne. If you lay a man in front of you about 6 foot, not a bus. If it's PIP, they'll be telling you how many lengths of buses you have to imagine. I just imagine a person because they're about 6 foot. And I say a man because they're about 6 foot. Not many 6 foot women, is it? I wasn't being sexist, I was just being literal. Lay a 6 foot man in front of you, not a Pete Cohen, I think he's 5'6". Lay it, not the men I know. Oh, Jew's quite tall. Lay a man in front of you that's about Jew. Yeah, lay a Jew in front of you. That's what you do. It's good he's on the stage. You know, I could lay him in front of me. Can you imagine him laying in front of you? Right, so lay a Jew in front of you. Now you've done that, not in his wheelchair. Sit up, sit back, and then imagine. Now, that's called the screen of your life. The bloke called De Silva told us about that. I mean, I've always known it, but thankfully somebody else said it, not just me. They call it your mind's eye, and people say, "Oh, I can't see pictures." No, neither can I. I'm blind. I'm mind blind. I don't see pictures. I'm AU ADHD, so I'm without pictures. I'm a non-picture autistic. I can't literally see pictures. There's a name for it. So you hold it in your mind's eye, 6 foot above, just above. And when you are thinking about that, thinking what's going to happen, the morning, the person, the client, even before you meditate, when you wake up and go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time for a poo, just saying what I do. You do what you want. You're already thinking about it. I know I'm thinking about tomorrow morning's poo already because I know when it'll be. Now, the fact that I've already decided when it'll be tells my body to get rid of it at that time. I'm telling you, the mind-body connection is wild. And when you've worked out and your body's worked out and you've trained it, your brain's like, okay, tell your body's like, all right, brain, job done. It literally is a communication network. So 3 times a day, sit up, sit back, sit in your mind's eye, 6 foot in front, about 15 degrees above the horizon. Huh? Yeah, I didn't say 20, did I? I didn't say 3. I didn't say look into the horizon. Well, don't look into the sun. That's mental. You burn. About 15 degrees above, so that you're not staring into the sun. But you can imagine if you did stare into the sun, right? Sit up. And don't forget to breathe, not through your mouth. Mouth breathing's not for us. Do it through your nose. Look forward, look up, 15 degrees above the horizon, and imagine that next client, that next poo, that next meeting, that next clubhouse event. And do that in the morning. Even if it's 5 minutes, you don't need to do it for ages. You haven't got to go, oh, it's my Auntie Elsie. I've got to think ages about her. So it goes, well, that's not how time works. Time is irrelevant. It doesn't exist. You don't have to do things for ages and ages. You just have to do them once and then go away. Not go away, but don't keep doing it. There's no need. So in chunking, we need to think about all of those things. Sounds big, doesn't it? But you think about it. I'm going to get up. I'm going to think about my well-being, go to work. I'm going to deliver myself some well-being thinks and happiness 3 times a day for 5 minutes. In the afternoon, I'm going to work. My evening event might be going out and going to a comedy club or being the comedy club or making a comedy club or whatever the hell it is. My playtime, I call it. And then wouldn't it be really nice if all of that went well? No, it would though, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if morning meeting was just beautiful? Wouldn't it be lovely if, wouldn't it? Just be good. Our mind is influencing our reality. Segmenting. Stage 1. And if you don't think that you're at segmenting, get there. Because that's one. There's 4 stages. I haven't even got started yet. I'm not going to go on forever. Or maybe write it on your phone or draw it. I've been drawing. I've been doing it all. I've tried it all. I haven't tried a ukulele yet. I'm thinking about a ukulele. Drumming's working really well. Drumming and connecting to my vibrational energy and ignoring time. Drumming's really, really, really working well for me. I haven't tried a ukulele yet. You never know though. Because I wanted to get to level 2. Stage 2. Let's go. In our robot suit, out to destroy the universe. Sitting up and back and 15 degrees above the highlight. Level 2, remember those 3 times a day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's the maximum time, right? That's why Pete Going goes, I'm going to talk to you for 30 minutes. It's the optimum time. He's worked it out. He's hacking the universe. He's sorted it. I don't know why he doesn't tell us. So, once a day for 5 minutes is amazing at level 2 because we're not just going to be going, well, I look forward to seeing Auntie Elsie. She's all right. We're going to be great. The tea will be great. She's going to be happy. I'm going to give her a woolly socks and off she goes or whatever. That was a bit like not nice, is it? Auntie Elsie, you've already imagined she's old, isn't she? I think Auntie Elsie's now 19. That's what I've decided. Auntie Elsie's 19 and yeah, I've just changed it all in your mind, haven't I? It's called visualization. Sorry. Creative visualization. I don't want to be crossed. Remember I said I don't want to be cross. Bliss is not being angry. So back to what I said was the whole point of any of this is because I want to get to bliss. It's all about me. I want to be happy, right? And bliss is one of the 7 parts of becoming. And I chose bliss out of all of them. There's lots, There's like having more ability to believe in your energy shift, or understanding that you can change reality. Well, no, bliss. It's bliss I'm after. It's definitely bliss. And creative visualization, that's stage 2, which I'd say that everybody here definitely has already smashed. You probably, yeah, I think you're on it. I think you're on it. I think you're on it this morning. I can feel it at the sides of my brain. Either side of your ears, where your soft bits are, where you feel where you've got a headache, here and here. Those bits I can feel it, because that's what happens when I vibrate. When my pineal gland is activated and I am connected to the overarching universe, and the universe is I, and the crack in the universe, the one at the top of my head, the one that I tap, the one that I've activated, the one where I have literally taken the download and turned it into something I can only describe as Niagara Falls. That involved creative visualization. And I don't just mean the law of attraction. If you think it, it will come. Like ordering. I once read a book, right? I'm not going to go into that. I once read a book called The Cosmic Ordering System. And I read its sequel, Cosmic Ordering System 2. Now, I've got a problem with that, right? I'll tell you what the problem I've got with that is that surely, if I've read the Cosmic Ordering System, I don't need the Cosmic Ordering System 2. I think maybe they wrote about what the download of the universe told them, and then they went for another. The thing is, you can do it in one at a time. That's the thing. So I reckon Cosmic Ordering System went for one hit and then got so overwhelmed that they didn't go again for ages, and that's why they ended up with the second book. I'm just going to give up with the numbers, because I'm going to go for downloads constantly. Like constantly. I'm just going to go for visionary. I'm just going to go for it's never ending, because I can't be doing with this stopping and starting. When I started my somatic coaching, my therapist, Jilly Wotton, nearly a year ago, when I began, we did a meditation together, an unlocking, a tapping, an EFT. I'm a trained EFT practitioner now. I went through that for myself. How you don't embody somatic coaching, I've got no idea, because it is about embodying. So we've had a year of it whilst I've been at college, on purpose, deliberate, because I needed that to be able to process all the emotions I was going to process as a result of all the trauma I've gone through, which is why I'm being a social worker. Let's be honest. We go after what we've experienced to fix it. So creative visualization has involved learning how to creatively visualize. And when I did, and I had my first experience, I had a happening. Now, I didn't know what this was. I described it to my coach, my therapist, and I'll be honest, she just said to me, it's okay. That's all right, my love. It's okay. It's just downloading. It's just, if you that bit above you, if you put your hand above your head, I said that crack in the universe, your hand above your head, and you can feel above your head. I don't know whether anybody else has got this, but I said to all, I have a kind of, if I put my hand above my head and do this, grab, that energy there, I mean, it's like wool. I can play with it. I can feel it. I can mold it. It's like it has a warmth. I know where it is, and I know how big it is, and I can feel it. It's like putting your hand through running water, right? Like under a waterfall. It's like that. And she said, oh, that's something. That's the gate. Something about a gate. Well, I've not really listened to it yet, and I think it's because I'm learning to be a social worker that I'm not listening to the other thing. Something about galactic gad, I don't know. It can't, whatever. Sounds to me like Star Trek, but whatever it is, I can feel it. It doesn't matter what she calls it. And through my creative visualization, through the tapping, through the aligning, through the coffee, through all the things I do, through the getting up at 4, through all of those things that keep adding up, I was then able to become a creative visualizer. That involves doing that meditation bit, but when you do, sitting up, sitting back, visualizing, and then when you're imagineering the thing that you're imagineering it in your mind's eye as it happening. How does it smell? How does it taste? How does it feel? What do you think? What do they say? What's the outcome? What are you after? What are you doing? Magnify it. Have the power of expectancy. It's not about it might do. A mate said yesterday in a group I'm part of, he's called Matt Rowden, you might know him, he said, when MJ says it, thinks it, she believes for her, in her world, it's actually happening. And I said, well, what else is there? Obviously. Why would I waste time thinking it? If I didn't Imagineer it was actually going to happen, that's a waste of my time. Why am I Imagineering something that's not going to happen? That's ludicrous. But he's right, yeah? In MJ's world, when I imagine it, there's no choice. Even if the result is I don't do it. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? That I say I imagine it definitely happening, and then even if it doesn't, I still do that. There's a reason. Because the things that happen to us, happen for us, are meant to happen for us. So whatever we imagine here, the right thing happens. So then it's about trust. See it, hear it. But is that enough? Well, it might be, because it will bring you miracles. It will. Try it. If you don't believe that thought changes reality, try it for me. Try it. 30 days. I dare, double dare you. I dare, 10 days, 3 days, 5 days. Just try it. And why stop it? You see, I think to myself, there's loads of people coming on Clubhouse and they're all gone. Not all. We're here. There's loads of people go on Insta and they all go. There's loads of people on Facebook, they all go. There's loads of people, I'm not going to go on, right? And I'm not saying we can do everything everywhere. What I'm saying is that if we don't have stick-at-itness with something, then we never make the magic. Because it's the stick-at-itness that makes the magic. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter whether it's Clubhouse. It doesn't matter whether it's visualization. It doesn't matter whether it's getting up and writing every day. That's why these writing alchemists, Kate Caruth, who's now helping my marketing. So watch this go boom. Because she's operations, for my marketing doodle team. Started yesterday, poor woman. She's going to be Imagineering. She's going to be creatively visualizing the future. We have a team of people to engage her and inform her of that future. And believe me, it was a powerful meeting where lots of people went, no, it's like this. Another person, no, I've been studying MJ for a year and she's like this. And it was fantastic. And we talked about our brand and our mission and our vision and our dream and our reality, because I created this reality 2 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago in a dream I had, and the person's here. That I rang the next day and said, I've got a dream. And it's a load of people and they're all angels. And actually they're angel faces, and I can't describe what that means, but I'm telling you. And they're all on mountains, and it's very strange. It's like one of those mountain things where all those faces are in the mountain, yeah? And it was all the people. It was all the angel people. And I told her to Fran, I said, so I've got to start a company. And I did that day, that night, 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was called Learning Societies. Because I wanted to learn about the societies. I creatively visualized, and then I did the do, because I had the thing that gave me the idea, because I was intuiting what my self wanted. You see, there is a future self and it's right inside you. You are already there. Nobody's giving you anything. Literally, nobody is giving you anything. You have everything that you've got right where you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need anybody, and you don't need anything apart from what's inside you and the people to help you activate it. Each other, the connection. It's not the people. It's not what they know. Stop trying to take from people, because there's nothing to take. You have everything. Even if you pick it up from somebody, you will put it down again. It doesn't belong to you. It never did. You might want to borrow it for a while, like a cuddly blankie. I once sent a cushion to somebody in this room by a taxi with a cow on, and it was a cow that jumped over the moon, because a cow can jump over the moon. And I sent it in a cushion, in a taxi, with the energy to that person, to let them know that they could jump over that moon. I sent a cow jumps over the moon in a taxi to a woman here 25 years ago. I had intuition. She now works with me. She's our finance manager. Because if you want to move beyond visualization, then section. Visualize and have intent. But that intent is about your intuition. It's not about your intention that you make up from a book that you borrow from somebody. It's not about somebody else's formula that they wrote about what you do, and this is the way, and that's the formula, and how you get loads of money, and that's how everything happens, and that's how you'll get a big house. Which you might. But the house is irrelevant. It was never yours. You're borrowing it. Everything you've got's already inside you, and nothing of yours isn't there. use your intuition, but your intuition's clouded by all of those noises, what we call the introjected values, what we call the stories we've been told by our parents, by our loved ones, by our sisters, by our brothers, by our friends, by the bullies, by the teachers, by everybody else. But if you remember, everything you've got is already inside you. So everything that you've heard, although it's really important, in order to get to bliss, we've got to look at the 4 stages of becoming. And remember that 4th one, that aligning all your ducks, that following your intuition, listening to the inner voice, and then not worrying about what you think about that, but doing what you know is right, because they've just worked out in risk in social work. Remember that 28% of all kids born in 2010 get referred to social services before the age of 5. We have a problem, and it isn't in the knowledge that we have. There's more knowledge than we've ever had, more knowledge than we can shake a stick at, my mum used to say. So it's not in the knowledge, it's in the understanding. And in order to get here, 28% of 2010 kids referring, we have to make everybody at risk or a risk. And that's because they're all working at level 1. They haven't even chunked up their life yet. Honest, that's where it's at. Have you chunked up your life yet? No, guess what? You only just got started. You haven't even got started. But those 4 stages to get that win-win for me, which is for me, I've been banging on about this for 2 or 3 years now. What's working well? What's important now? What's important next? www.winwin. It's mine. I wrote it. I made it up. It came to me from the universal download, from the universal crack, whilst I was studying in that state of altered consciousness, putting myself in alpha wave. It's why I went to do therapeutic training and delivery in the woods. It's why I created walk-through naturalistic therapy. It's why I got a 4x4 chair and I walked people through the woods in nature and processed emotions for years. That was my therapeutic modality. I didn't like therapy in the classroom. I didn't like therapy in the office. I liked therapy where I could feel therapy. The alpha waves. Putting myself in alpha wave is the only way. It's the only way I will live. And 1% of people can live in alpha waves, and we can test it. And I've been saying for 2 years, when they test, they will see. I've been brain training through Organo, the brain training app that you can get, and astronauts use it. We don't give astronauts nothing for nothing. We don't give it away to astronauts. We give it to them because we're scared they're going to land a rocket on our head and blow up the universe. So we train them within an inch of our lives with everything we know so they don't fuck it up. Pardon me. And we have had that, haven't we? Sorry about that. That was unnecessary. So there are 4 ways, 4 stages. Because what we're trying to do is wake up. Understand that we can change the world. Move out of that victim stage, out of that traumatized by the process, that dogma, that ritual, that I'm listening to what this book says. Well, good. You'll get somewhere. You just might not get the whole truth. Trained by the process. Being shaped, not a shaper. Being asleep, not awake. Othered by the ideas of other people that, well, it's a culture state, isn't it? Traditional peer pressure from dead people. Just saying. Dead people told you how to live. I'm not living in that world. I'm not living in that world. I'm not accepting what my mum said because she was wrong. I'm not accepting everything that I was told at school because they even changed the name of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So that means school can't be true when they change a place's name. I'm going to teach you this. I'm going to teach you something else in the same year because I've changed teacher. And I'm going to argue with you. Well, stop telling me rubbish then. So I am not living in a victim state. I'm waking up. How did I wake up? I woke up through all of that stuff I just said. I got up. I showed up. I turned up for myself. I drank the coffee. I chose to take the oil. I decided to look at my nutrition. It's not about the decision I made because everything inside me is already there. I didn't need the coffee. It's just a placebo. It's like anything. It's all pretend, all of it. What I needed to understand that at cellular level, I can change everything right now in the moment as soon as I've worked it out, and I no longer disbelieve it. But that takes inspired, sequential, deliberate practice. Practice makes progress. So out of victim stage. Out. Out. Out of victim stage. Just get out of it. Stop it. What is that about? Everything you do is everything that you've chosen. Even if somebody threw it at you. Because you were there in the firing line, ready for them to throw it. They were in your vicinity, weren't they? Anyway, I'm not going to get all... I'm not. All I want you to do is work out that the world you can choose is the one you can change. And that's it. Why did The Greatest Showman work? Well, why? Why? Because we saw the impossible. The bearded lady being applauded. The impossible's possible. Magic. Magic is not complicated. Just like rocket science, it's easy when you know how. Actually, rocket science isn't that complicated, just saying. I had to study it with an autistic girl at master's degree level. I don't like physics, but I had to learn it, and you see, the things come to you when you need them. You can change the world. You can change your world immediately and without any further ado, if only you understand that we need to not be a victim. We've got to wake up and we have to connect. Merging. The most important bit, which is actually level 3. And to get to level 3, it takes practice. We don't even, you know, all these smart intentions like specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time driven. They're all right at level 1. They're great. But you got to let them go then. They're only a scaffold. They're only a holding mechanism. They're only a way by which you can say, what am I looking for? Well, I'd like by next week to have a dog called Fred from the RSPCA, and I'd like to collect him on Thursday, and I'm going to buy his bowl, and it's going to be pink. Yeah? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time driven. Why the hell I want a pink bowl with a dog next Thursday, I've got no idea. But clearly, we can literally create anything. Why, I've just imagined that, I've got no idea. If a dog turns up next Thursday, realise that I'm quantumly leaping in the day, in the moment, and I better just be careful about my intention. Watch a dog turn up. Your intuition is what you're following in order to get to your bliss through the art of creative visualization. But even then, after you've chunked and you've visualized, you've got to let go of visualization, because actually we need to let go of visualization, just like that mind's eye. Sit up, sit back, look forward. The mind's eye, 15 degrees above the horizon. I have no pictures. I have no pictures, because if I had pictures, I'd be concrete. And if I was concrete, I wouldn't know magic. So I was meant to be magic. I was created magic. Everything I have inside me is everything I've ever needed to be everything I needed to be. Because I have that magic inside me, because my mind's eye is blank. My mind's eye is blank, which means I can imagineer everything. I don't have the concrete to dissipate. I don't have to make the great undoing in order to create the great becoming, because I'm already taken apart. To create what's working well, what's important now, and what's important next, we go beyond. We go beyond the WWW win-win. And we'll get to the right ending. One day. I'm not going to tell you what I think it is. I think I've already said it. We know what the end is of this web address. We know it already. We've just got to seek it for ourselves. So the world you choose is the world you can change. Because in order for us to create the beautiful distraction, the altered state, the invisible hand, the recoding of myself, the remaking of everything I was ever bullshitted by my parents, my lovers, my mothers, my brothers, my others, I have to undo in order to become. And that's in my magic merging, my connection, belonging in business or at home or in a relationship, because everything is me. I said in the meeting yesterday, somebody said something, I said, well, you know, in reality, I am everything and everything is me, so there is no separation. And so whatever your concerned about is, of course, my concern. It has to be. It's inevitable. So let's discuss it. I am free to be me, to make my magic by merging my business, myself, my entity, my everything with my intuition, my inspired action. Constantly seeking the goodness of everything, because everything is me and I am everything. There is no disconnection. And that crack in the universe told me after I died, before the 25 years when I had the dream and told the girl and started the business and learned about societies. Personalised learning services was a bit like stage 2, right? Because I had smart targeted. Here we were. Learning societies was a bit airy-fairy because nobody knew what the hell I was on about, because I was about 30 years early. But there was a document written in 2003 called The Learning Societies, and I ate it because this person at the other side of the world understood what the hell I was on about. But I carried on regardless whether or not people did. They didn't really. And then we had to evolve, because the next stage was personalised learning services when we were formulated. That managerial approach, when they came and they audited and they checked and they ticked the boxes and they squeezed me into places I didn't want to be, delivering services that were all about alchemy. It was difficult and they made me poorly. I didn't know how to be in the box. I've never been in the box. I'm out of the box. I am not the box. I can't even get in the box. They haven't even got a box for a wheelchair so they can bog off. There's not a box and I don't want it. So to get to my magic merging, which is 1% of people that have othered the ideas of others, that awaken to the idea that they can be the world that they choose to change, that they have an invisible hand on their heart, on their head, through the alchemy, from the energy. I'm not going to call it whatever you want to. That waterfall of consciousness that streams through me because I ordered it to create that remaking, that recoding. To get to the 1%, that's how we save the world, guys. That's how we save the world. And by save the world, I mean save our souls. So shout, will you? As loudly as you can to yourself, about yourself, for yourself, and let go of everything that anyone ever told you you had not to be. Because if you don't shout